Okay, on today's video, we are going to cover basically if you're doing PPC on Google, Bing, of course, this also could apply to Facebook ads. If you're asking yourself or ever have asked yourself, should I separate my campaigns based upon different locations? Even if you sell and you say, anybody in the United States can buy my product or service, you can actually break up your campaigns for different people in different states. Or if you're selling, that applies for regional businesses. If you sell locally, you can break out your campaigns to sell to different sub-cities. So if you're in the LA area, that would be like Santa Monica, that kind of thing. And also break things down to target people at an individual zip code level, because Santa Monica has 9 different zip codes there. And so why would you want to do this? Because you can get a lot more results. Upwards of 500% more results in terms of total profit achieved from your account by separating things out so that your campaigns can be pre-designated for certain areas and in a certain way that I'll describe in this video. I'll explain how I actually do this to get the 500% gain in different markets. So you can walk away from this video with that information in hand. It's really not that difficult to do. I will admit it is time consuming to initially get set up, but once it's set up, basically no work. And it just keeps making money and making money and keep making money. And for all practical purposes, you work so hard to deliver what you have, it's actually less work to do work on your campaigns than it is to scale operations or handle operations. And so I always tell people, the easiest thing to improve the profit margins on your business is to work on your PPC campaigns, because once the work is done, it just works and works and works. And because most people they'd rather just spend more money on the traffic without optimizing it at all. And so with that, it's not that hard to outdo your competitors, to have a better experience for your users. One being what I'm going to share with you today, and make out like a bandit as a result. So I'm going to show you how to break your campaigns into separate campaigns for separate zip codes and different state targeting if you're a national company or regional company, to get that 500% difference in ROI potential for your business with your PPC ads that you're running right now today. So, okay, starting out, what are your options as it comes to separating out your PPC campaigns out by location? So what I've done here to make this as simple as possible, and so that you understand no matter what business you have, how this applies to you. Again, if it doesn't matter if you sell a product or a service, you're local or regional or national. We're covering everything with this strategy. You will get a higher return if you do this stuff for your business. I will also start out with preluding and say here that if you're wondering why this has to be so much manual work, and you've got campaigns running right now that are smart campaigns or dynamic campaigns where an ad is dynamically generated, you have one campaign in your account, it seems to be working. I can tell you if it's working with that already, it'll work much better with this strategy. And with that, you could run fairly automated campaigns in Google or Facebook or Bing. But what you're relying on is the ad algorithm to help you find the right customers. And the ad algorithm doesn't have, at least to this point, enough, and I don't believe it will for a good 10 years yet, maybe 15, enough intuition to beat the logic as you, the business owner who understands your customers and can be more diligent about targeting and fine-tuning your ads than the algorithm can. So basically, in other words, if you let Google or Bing just improve your results with like a smart campaign, what it'll do is it'll try basically everything. Its motivation is to also get you to spend more instead of getting a better ROI. No offense, don't attack me, Google. But and it eventually will get you a better ROI after it tries everything. In the real world, people only have so much money to get their campaigns working, and it can only run at a loss for so long before they go broke. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting up a manual campaign. Yes, it's a little bit more work to set up, but it's much more controlled, and you're going to get the effect of what I'm showing you here what the algorithm would do for you anyway over a period of years, you can get done in a period of months. So, and actually, right away on some aspects of it, and then the rest of it, let's just say they get you the rest of the 500% over the 3 to 6 months that follows once you set this up and watch it actually take effect. So don't use, and bottom line, if your competition is using the smart campaigns and you set up manual campaigns and can do the things that I'm showing you here, you're going to be able right away have an advantage on your competition. And basically all it comes down to is if you're going to be able to make profit from your ads, given everybody wants the same customers on Google and Bing as you do, and there's usually about 20 people cycling in and out of the ad space, you have to do a better job than 80% of the people that are there, of those 20 people, if you expect to make good money. Because most people don't make good money. And the system is not designed to share all the profit. Google's trying to push all the rewards to the people who do the best job serving their users the best, and constantly trying to push your offer in front of the most appropriate customers, giving them the best experience, and doing less of that to people who apt to not want that from you, or that experience from you, basically. And using your data, using the data that you have to be able to do that for your company, and then therefore you're helping Google, and you're helping the user. Google helps you tremendously by helping the user. So anyway, this is all to everyone's benefit, including yours. And of course, it's quite profitable as well. So we'll start out, and I will say here, we'll start with the local business, the guys that you're running a local business. Now within the local business space, I'll get to national or / regional businesses in a moment, so explain how you're going to get the big returns as well. But for local businesses, it's broken out to basically companies that are going to. So there's actually, to put it this way, there's 3 different types of ways that you can structure your campaigns, at least in terms of if you are going to break it out versus not break it up. Well, the 80% that are going to do that make just a little bit of money, or basically are losing money running their ads, they're just going to have one campaign. That's it. That one campaign is going to target all their keywords, and it's going to target everybody in their entire city. Therefore, their ad has to say what their city name is, or a lot of people don't even do that, which that's the first mistake. And so you can't cater to people who are different parts of the city that want to know that you're close or that you serve their market, and they'll do it that way. But basically what nobody should be doing is they'll be setting up their ads. So they have a special campaign set up to target each city. And within that campaign that targets the Santa Monica versus LA and Long Beach versus LA, any city that has, let's say, over 50,000 people, have a separate campaign set up with the same keywords as that your original campaign had, but then just set up for Santa Monica. Within that Santa Monica campaign, you can have the zip codes broken out so that you can see which zip codes that you want to avoid, and then what's left, you can decide how much you're willing to pay for traffic from each zip code based upon how well it converts. And this all assumes, of course, you have tracking set up on your account to track phone calls coming in, the forms coming in, and of course, if you want to track revenue from these leads that you're generating on a local basis, or product leads that you're generating, that all can be done with offline conversion tracking. You can check my videos about offline conversion tracking if you're interested in that. But assuming you have the right data that tells you what you have works or not, and you have that fed into your account on a zip code by zip code level, you'd be surprised how much of a difference in the potential return there will be from zip code to zip code. And as you could, and it makes sense, right? The people that, I'm from Phoenix, the people that are in Paradise Valley are going to convert, which is like the super rich people, are going to convert different than the people in Phoenix, just because they have more disposable income. Not always is that the only factor, though. Sometimes, just different products have a different affinity for a different income level, and so on and so forth. And so, and they have different tastes, and so on and so forth, and every market's a little bit different. So, Whereas you can have one campaign set up for everything. That's the okay method that everybody else is doing. If you are a service like a plastic surgeon or let's say a specialized hobby shop that sells like model airplanes and stuff, where you're probably the only one, if not, maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 people in the city that do what you do. People, in other words, then are willing to drive across the city to get to you. I mentioned that that's true for like a plastic surgeon because a lot of that's based upon reputation. You're not just going to randomly pick anybody. You're going to go Google plastic surgeon, but you're going to go with brand recognition there, right? But anyway, I've had fertility clinics and stuff where we just have one campaign for the whole city, and that was fine because the fact that we could say Orlando, in the ad and market to Orlando as a whole, that didn't make that much difference than breaking up and making a mirror campaign for each area of Orlando that had 50,000 population and more, because that business, it just wasn't conducive to that type of a business exactly. Medical clinics, like I said, specialized, where you're the one of very few people in your city and people are willing to drive. That's where the one campaign would come in. But even in that case, there's still an opportunity to get more money. What you do is you do a neighborhood campaign. So the people who are super close, what you do, and basically you have 2 campaigns, not one. So I'm never actually going to do one on a localized basis. I'm going to have one campaign. I'm going to set up the radius targeting of that campaign to be 3 miles around the location itself. And my ad copy then is going to say, we're close, we're local, we're down on 5th Street here. That's going to actually, and you can set it up that way, because you'll get higher click-through rate on your ads right away doing that from those super local people. People are more likely to click on your ad and actually convert if you're closer. Even though they were willing to drive across city most of the time, they'll be even more likely if you're super close and you want people to know that. And then you'll set up another campaign that's from 3 to 30 miles. And actually how you do that is you set up a 30-mile radius and then you do a negative location target of the 3-mile radius directly surrounding your location. And then you have a regular ad that says, Orlando, fertility clinic, whatever, and then you get the rest of the people in your city. But if you do that, you have to add the neighborhood campaign, which will get you a major surge in the most profitable traffic that's near your location versus just indiscriminately targeting everyone in the whole city with the same language and the ad that you're using. You can get basically, when I've checked about 2-3 different campaigns prior to making this video, an additional 10 to 100% profit by getting a lot more from, so generally in a local campaign is about how do I get more of the traffic that is profitable, how do I get more of it? This gets you a lot more of the traffic just in general because you're pulling out, you have a gimmick to get people to click on your ads more than you had before and convert more than they had before, knowing that you're local, whereas before it might not have been so apparent if they're within 3 miles of your location unless you now told them. So that's an opportunity for you if you have a business like this and you don't think that these, a campaign for having a mirror campaign set up for every, city that you have in your metro area that you service, you can do that. But going further, and we're talking about like a foundation company, a pool service company, a pool construction company, a plumbing company, electrician company, whatever. You're going to get much, much better results instead of that one campaign. Going back to what I said before, you're going to break that campaign up and you're going to make that campaign. Well, first of all, if you haven't done it yet, you want to make that campaign so that there's an ad for every keyword. And if you haven't done that, that's like an easy, guaranteed way to get another 2x return on your campaigns. And on top of that, I have just a side note. If you offer a electrical service and you offer Nest installation and you offer regular electrical service and you offer residential and commercial, well, you want a different landing page for each of those main categories so that keywords related to each one where people are clear and exactly what they want, you send them to the right landing page. That'll get you another 2x. Just a small, bigger things that if you haven't done before this, you should consider that first. But once you've done that for one campaign, so you can set up, you have a semi-relevant landing page for each type of keyword that you have, and there's ads set up for every keyword. What you do, then you take that campaign and you clone it or copy it or whatever you want to say there. And like I said, you go ahead and you do the research. If you're in LA and you service all of LA County, let's say, you find all the cities that are 50K more in population. And actually, for people that are not in super huge areas like LA, I'm doing 10K population or more cities. And then so if I find out Long Beach is more than 10K population, then I'll make a campaign just for Long Beach with all the keywords from our original campaign, and my ad copy is now going to say serving all of Long Beach. Okay? And ideally, to take this one step further, your landing page also that you take them to, if they're looking for commercial electrical service, you take them to the commercial electrical services landing page you created from the previous step, but then it also says serving all of Long Beach as well on that landing page. That will get you the most results. So it's tedious. You're going to have a lot of landing pages doing that, but that's going to get you by far amazing results like every single time. If you want guaranteed amazing results, go ahead and do that. Nobody else is going to be willing to do that in your space. Not unless I'm in your space. And then you go ahead and, like I said, you make a campaign for every city inside the service area that you have and the metro area that you serve for each 10K or more population city that you have. So the ad copy can say the city that the user's in to get them to click at a much higher rate, like 2x the rate, which will cut your cost per click in about half due to the increase in quality scores you will get. So that in itself, if you do that, and by the way, once you've set up a campaign for every city, you could, if they stop there within the campaign itself, you can identify what the cost per, like let's say you have to have a $30 cost per lead for you to be profitable, and you know that going in, which you should know your numbers going in. The people who make millions a year on PPC and it self-finances itself, they know their numbers going in. They figure out what they can pay for a lead, or they figure out the sales that they're making, get the sales revenue to go into their account so they can see what they're making kind of there, which isn't perfect, but you get some sort of actual tangible goal of what, okay, if I get a $30 lead and not pay any more, I know I can get an 8-to-1 return and I'm good. So, but each then campaign that's targeting each city over 10K population, you're ultimately going to find out different cities have different conversion potential. One, right off the bat, if you bid the same amount for each keyword in all your different campaigns, one city's going to produce a lead for $70. One's going to produce one for $15. And what you do then is you use a bid modification formula. You can Google that. Very simply, you identify, you punch your numbers into that formula. And so if you're in Long Beach producing $70 per lead and you know you need 30, it'll tell you what to bid, tell you how much to lower your cost per click target on all the keywords in that campaign. So that campaign gets you the maximum conversions at $30 cost per conversion you can, but not spend over the $30 cost per conversion. And on the flip side, the city campaigns that you have that are producing under $30 a lead, it'll tell you how much more to spend so you get as many possible clicks and hog as many clicks as you can from that particular city as you can to get the most profit out of that city you can. And so that's how that level of granularity there is how you be able to extract a heck of a lot more profit from a campaign, because ultimately, due to, like I said before, there's usually in a competitive market, in most local markets have 20 people in and out of the top 4 spots. You're gunning for that spot. You're trying to be able to spend as much as you can so you're permanently there. Nobody's there permanently 100% of the time due to the search impression share. And so ultimately, you're trying to identify where you can be there all the time because it's super profitable and you know that. And where it's not, you don't try to fight for it, but you fight for in another city to pick up what you can there. But in and itself, you just do that and stick to what I just told you. 100 to 300% increase in profit from your account. Now, if we take this one step further, we talk about zip codes. So I got one campaign with the neighborhood campaign. You upgrade it to have the quote-unquote close to 3-mile radius around your city. That's the okay upgrade here using this methodology that gets you 10 to 100% increase in profit potential from your account. The better option is having a campaign for every city that's 10K population or more instead of the one campaign, so that your ads and your landing page can say the city that the person's in, so that they know that you're in their city and you serve their city, to get you the 100 to 300% increase in profit based upon your baseline, what your account produces right now. And then the best option is you do what I just told you to do with the city. So if the ad has a city, the landing page has a city, but then you also, within that city campaign, you don't settle for, target location Long Beach. If the campaign's meant to target Long Beach, and then the ads will say Long Beach and the landing page says Long Beach, serving Long Beach, what you do is you find all the zip codes in Long Beach and you set those up as your targets in your Long Beach campaign, so that once you get 1,000 clicks from that campaign, you can take this one step further and then it'll tell you on a zip code by zip code basis what your cost per lead is, so that you can again do a bid adjustment instead of on the keyword level this time, which you would do it here. You're able to do it on a zip code level. And so basically you'll do a better job being able to adjust your bids on the different zip codes than you will be on the different keywords, even though I would actually do both using what I mentioned, a bid adjustment formula, where it tells you exactly what to change your bids to. I use, by the way, enhanced CPC on everything, so I can do these kind of bid adjustments, and I'm not relying on an algorithm to eventually get me results. I'm getting them, short term, without having to have much money invested into it short term. And that's what our clients want basically here anyway. But on a zip code by zip code basis, we're gonna then adjust what we're spending more or less based upon how much potential that particular zip code has in Long Beach. First thing I do, a lot of people, I ask our clients, what zip codes don't you want? In different areas, there's different, high crime neighborhoods. One of the benefits of doing the zip code thing is you can weed out leads from those areas you don't want, and but for that, you're going to find a huge difference in the potential between one zip code and another in a single city like that. And so with that, and you're going to find something like, just inside Long Beach, one zip code converts at 8%, another converts at 2%. It's literally that much difference. Therefore, with all that, you adjust your bids on that zip code level after you've created a mirror campaign for each city, like I mentioned back here. Instead of 100 to 300% increase in profit, you're talking now 100 to 500% increase in profit from overall what you're doing here, if you just do and follow the steps I gave you to kind of build a local campaign and take it all the way with what you potentially can do for your business there. As a side note, if you're just too busy, don't want to do this, you can either start small, do just one campaign for one city, compare what you're getting cost per lead wise to your original campaign, and then once you do that, you can justify having someone help you. Or you can just, talk to me. This stuff instantly pays for itself. It's so profitable. There's no reason why not to do it if you know somebody who can do it without messing it up. That's something we do for our clients here. And we also don't take fees up front because we know we can get results every time up front using a method like this, since we already know by looking at hundreds of accounts in the past that this is something people don't do. So if we apply it, it automatically for sure works every time, and can work out a situation where we get paid once the massive returns come in from the account up front within the first 3 months or something like that. Just as how we work. But moving on from that, so that's for local businesses. Now for national/regional businesses, it's just basically, you have two options again. One campaign, and you could do a campaign per state. For the most part, whether again if I'm using product or service, same thing. All I'm going to do, since if I'm dealing nationally, let's say, then I don't care that you tell me on the ad or on the landing page where you're at. That's not going to get me a boost in conversion rates. Now, from a regional business, I'm a regional roofing company, and I serve 4 states. I darn well want to make sure that I have a campaign for each state, so that no matter if I'm in Louisiana or Kentucky, I search for a commercial roofing company in Kentucky. I see an ad that says commercial roofer in Kentucky. so that, I have a, 6, 7, 8% click-through rate on my ad versus a 3% click-through rate. And my landing page says serving all of Kentucky, or serving whatever most of Kentucky on the landing page, so that my page converts at 12% versus 8% or something like that, which is pretty close to the real numbers. So in that particular case, going back to, it's the same thing as like creating a campaign for each city here. You create a campaign for each of the states you service, and then based upon how well the cost per lead goes in that particular state, you're going to adjust what I go into literally like the keyword menu. I click all, and then I go to adjust bids. And then once I'm using the bid adjustment formula, I know that I have to reduce the bids on all of our traffic by 40% to reach our target cost per conversion. Then I'm going to say reduce all keyword bids by 40%. And that will get our traffic from that state 40% less cost. Of course, you're going to get less volume, but that money can be used in another state where you're getting above average returns, as I mentioned before. Same thing on the city campaigns. It's just the same thing. If you're going to adjust your bids, do it on all keywords at once, and then you just click, select all, change all bids, 40% plus or 30% plus or 30% minus on all keywords. Execute, and then you're done. The traffic from that whole campaign comes in cheaper or more expensive based upon how it's producing. But anyway, if you are in the situation though that you're an e-commerce business, you're selling and delivering nationally, you're a business to business service provider, you sell, specialized insurance, and you can serve everybody across the country, something like that. Actually, for insurance, I would want to do it on a state by state. That's not a good example because people want to know that you're eligible to sell in their state. Or a national service like just a consulting firm, any kind of consulting firm, a specialized consulting firm where you're going to sell and deliver digitally over the phone. In those cases, I'm going to take the one campaign, so like everybody else would think to do it, but in my locations targeted, I'm going to have listed all 50 states, separated out state by state, so that I can assign a unique bid for California versus Texas versus Illinois, so on and so forth, all the way down the line. And so, with that, so I'm going to keep the campaign the same way that I have now. I'm just going to add the states in there. I'm going to wait till I have 1,000 clicks, and then I'm going to do a bid adjustment on each state level so that each state can get the most, so we can get the most clicks out of each state we can that has the potential to deliver the ROI that we want. So if we do that though, instead of just, most people will go in there and if they deliver, throughout the US, the location target will be United States, and then that's it. There's no opportunity to adjust bids on each state. I'm going to do every single time in there. We're targeting each state individually, so we can adjust the bids on each state individually. Once we have that 1,000 clicks, we have enough data to start. You got to make sure you have enough data on each state to make a bid adjustment that's appropriate. You got to have what is called statistical significance, and you can find statistical significant calculators online to see if you have enough data on an individual state to use that bid adjustment formula I mentioned before to decide what the bid should be for that state for this all to work out for you and not be bouncing around all over the place, which you don't want, so that for sure if you make an adjustment and screw with the algorithm, which the algorithm doesn't like to be having changes, that for sure that's going to have a positive outcome, and you're going to rip the Band-Aid off of the change all at once, and then once the algorithm adjusts, you have your guaranteed locked-in gains that you get from knowing what that state now does. But with that, bottom lining it all, 100 to 300% more profit from your account by being able to adjust the bids like that on each state. And so all your campaigns in your account, you just add all the 50 states as a location target individually. Wait till you have enough data, adjust your bids like I mentioned, 100 to 300% more profit. And it's just like the local campaigns. Once California might convert at 10% and Alabama might convert at, 1.8%. And so this is where your 100 to 300% more profit comes from. There's certain areas that you basically should do none of, and certain states that are so extremely profitable you want to get every click you can. And that's what this strategy is about. So in general, this is the strategy I have for you here today. Be able to get you the 500% increase in profit. That mainly comes from the zip code campaign if you're a local business, but there's a clean 100 to 300% more profit for most of you other guys, and 10 to 100% if you're in a certain specialized local business, as I mentioned, like a specialized medical clinic. But there's something for everybody here, as you see, and this is how you do it depending on what you're selling. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person that leaves me a comment on this channel, and can talk it or mention something about what your exact situation is to help you out. I have a ton of other videos like this on this channel about other PPC strategies, just like this, different stuff that you can get out ahead of your competition with ease. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog where we talk about, and I actually have written personally and show the campaign strategies I use to build campaigns step by step. If you want to follow my philosophy that we use here at the firm to guarantee clients results, you can do that. Apart from that, hope you enjoyed, and good luck to you in setting up your campaigns to break them out.